I'm Logan Crawford, and right now on Spotlight, we're diving into the transformative journey of heart-led living. The Four Cornerstones of Building a Better Life. It's written by a terrific author. Her name is Dr. Cara Barker. And in the book, she reveals practical steps to overcome life's toughest challenges, from unforeseen setbacks to the quest for deeper fulfillment. Join us right now as we uncover her powerful insights on aligning your heart and soul. We're delighted to have this very talented author join us here today on Spotlight. We thank the team at Atticus Publishing for helping us put her in the spotlight today, and we ask viewers like you to support authors like her by subscribing to our channel and by purchasing her amazing book. The links are below this interview. Doctor, great to see you here today on Spotlight. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you, Logan. I have excellent taste, I'm told, and you are one of the excellent ones.
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate that. It's so kind of you to say, and I'm so looking forward to this conversation today. Heart-led living. Let's start with that phrase. What do you mean by it?
There's so much in my line of work. I see this all over, and I'm sure you do too. So much depression and suicidal ideation and anxiety. And I've seen the rates go like that, especially since 2016. And so, and I have an international practice. So this is not only from America, I hear this from other countries too, where people feel like the world has just fallen into a big Cuisinart and ground up and it's pure chaos. And so, from my experience in life that started as an army nurse in Vietnam, I really got that suffering, the woundedness, looks in a bit like the outside, but actually it's the inside wounds. All right, so what are they from? I could go into physiology and all that, but I won't bore you with that. But it actually has to do with the fact that, especially in Western civilization, we depend on our mind, our head, to solve our problems. The fact is, and there's a lot of research to back this up, like in heart math in Boulder, Colorado, the infallible wisdom isn't here. It's in the heart. So how does the heart speak? It speaks through our dreams. It speaks through meaningful coincidence. It speaks through body, signs and symptoms. But it's a language we're not taught in school at all. We're taught the facts, ma'am, just the facts, like Jack Webb. And well, you're too young to remember that. But
I
anyway,
remember Jack Webb and
you,
Joe Friday and all of
oh,
that
Joe
stuff for sure.
Friday, right,
Yeah.
right. So, it- what steers us in a course that is more meaningful and alive and joy-filled, purpose is really finding the means of listening in the wee small voice, the silence, because it is unfortunately in the silence, what that direction is, and then taking an action step in that direction. That's what it takes. But we live in a very noisy world. So I know, like my husband, I was showing him years ago, we've been married 45 years, how to meditate. He's a pathologist. And he goes, I just fall asleep. I'm not meditating. I said, yes, you are. He says, how? I said, your body's telling you you're tired. Why don't you take a nap? It's
Exactly.
not in his
Exactly.
lexicon. So yeah, that's what led me to this. And the good news is it's in that infallible wisdom that our joy lives. The things that if we could have anything, what would we love to be doing? It's what brings us that joy and aliveness to our heart that actually is the source of our contribution.
I
Heart led.
think it's great to be focused on the heart rather than the mind. I think academia pushes us to be
Oh,
focused on those facts, like you mentioned, when, to paraphrase Helen Keller, the most profound things in life are neither seen nor heard, but touched by the heart, right?
absolutely. That is just it's so true. One of the things HeartMath found out is that The energy of the heart is 5,000 times more powerful than the head. That's incredible. 5,000 times. So if we want to jumpstart, learn how to go there.
Yeah, yeah. And your heart is both a literal heart and a metaphorical heart as well. But
That's
in
right.
many ways, they're combined. I
They
mean,
are.
people do really die of broken hearts. So taking care of your heart, living a heart-led life, I think is great advice. Let's talk about aligning your heart and soul, which is something that you obviously espouse in the book. What's one of the first steps that someone can take to align their heart and soul?
The desire
Mm.
is cultivating a desire to do that very thing because we have so many, we live in whack-a-mole. So it's so easy to get drowned out by that music. So we have to have a clear intention, which I think, Logan, it means facing ourselves squarely in the mirror. You know, Rita Moreno, the 90 plus year old fabulous woman that was in West Side Story. And I heard her on the interview and they said, "How can you be so aligned?" She says, "Well, I'm with my heart." And they said, "How do you do that?" And she said, "Well, when I get up in the morning," now she's like, I think 92 at the time, "I go to the bathroom to pee. And then I pass by the mirror and I go, 'Hello, gorgeous.'" And I went, "What?" That is serious alignment with the heart. I mean, she sees herself in a different way. I've tried to do that, but I have not mastered that little exercise she gave us. You know, I think we got to step one, value ourselves, really come to terms with, okay, what am I here to do? Because bad stuff happens.
Mhm.
You said heartbreak,
Yeah.
heartbroken. You know, when my son was killed 33 years ago, he was in college, he was killed by a drunk driver. And I said to my husband, when I die, if they do an autopsy, I'm sure there'll be a scar over my heart because, and since then, we found out there actually is heartbroken syndrome, where people they just can't. They
Yeah.
just can't. That very point, Logan, to me, that horrible darkness. This is going to sound very counterintuitive because maybe it is. I've personally experienced we have to lean into it, to that darkness, which brings us to the edge of our life as it's been. And that is really scary stuff. That's really scary. And I saw that with the wounded soldiers from Vietnam. Going into that dark, I don't know who I am. I don't know where I am. What's happened to me? I'm no longer who I was. That is a very scary place. But you don't have to be wounded in Vietnam or lose your child. You can be suddenly I lost my job, or my partner wants a divorce, or it could be any manner of things that forces us to the edge, and then we get a choice.
Right.
We have to make a choice. Am I going to just cave and climb into the darkness, the grave of this? Or am I going to live a better life? How do I build a better life? And it's that.
When
It's
you say lean into it, are you talking also about give yourself time to grieve, give yourself time to feel bad, um, you know, just explore those bad emotions because it's just part of it. You lose your son, it's the most tragic thing I can think of. You need time to grieve, right?
yeah, part of it's time, and we're in a death phobic culture. So people go, isn't I, you've been there for about 2 weeks. Isn't that enough? No, but leading into it, I mean, what I did in my case was I couldn't find words, so I painted.
Mm.
I painted and I drew for that first year. In fact, that book in 2025, that book's going to come out, the paintings, because our heart doesn't respond to words. It's images. That includes all the arts, music, clay, whatever. One of my clients came, his doctor referred him because he had dysphonia. He couldn't use his hand and he was a musician. So his method of leaning into that loss, He's a really well-trained um, musician, was to start to make some notes on the piano of what it was like for him, because nobody knew the sound of his grief like he did.
Mm.
Other person used clay. You don't have to be an artist to do any of this stuff. Honestly, you can doodle, but it's get it out. Otherwise, the sorrow just lands inside the body. And if it's not excavated, there's a term in psychology called implicit memory. It lands in the body until some later time when you're not even aware it's there. Something happens and you overreact. Well, it's not because of that one thing that happened, it's because all that wasn't metabolized before with the earliest wounding.
Loading up like a tight spring within you, waiting to pop, and then you've got the trigger, and boom, it's a bad reaction at the wrong time.
That's a great metaphor. And yet it's not at the wrong time, it's at the perfectly right time, but it seems like it's inconvenient that
Right.
it's happening right now.
Absolutely. I'm looking at a beautiful still life behind you. Is that one of your paintings, by the way?
Mhm.
Wonderful. Well, you're quite an artist. You're not only a wonderful author, you're also a great artist. That's beautiful, really beautiful.
Thank you. Thank
Yeah,
you.
great. Let's talk about using heart-led living to overcome anxiety. We hear so many people nowadays are dealing with anxiety, depression, taking a lot of, SSRIs to deal with it. But I think your approach could be a more holistic approach to help people of their horrible feelings of dread and fear.
To answer that question, this may be seem like a roundabout, but I think about these construction workers that I passed by, and they were digging, and um, and I asked them, so what's that like? What do you do when you're constructing something? They said first you have to deconstruct.
Mm.
You have to deconstruct what isn't working, but you have to be really careful because there are gas lines and electrical lines and all that kind. You run into things. So when with this anxiety, it takes kind of digging down into okay, where is this anxiety living in my body? And I suggest people take a deep breath to the count of four and hold it to the count of four, and then exhale it to the count of four, three, four. Exhale it like you're blowing out one of those resistant birthday candles. Do that for a good 4 times because it's important to land in the body. Locate where am I carrying this anxiety? Now, often people will come in and they'll say in the beginning, oh, well, it's in my head. But actually, there's a place in the body where that's landing. Find out where that place is.
Yeah.
Now, a Jungian method that Carl Jung called active imagination was if you're having a dream and you're trying to figure out the dream, but same thing with the body symptom, um, go into kind of a meditation. It's not woo-woo, it's just quiet the mind. Just land in your body again. Sometimes if I'm feeling anxious, I'll go outside and I'll put my feet on the earth. Get grounded again. Okay. Now, take that symptom or that character in the dream, whatever you're working on, and have an imaginary conversation with it, like anxiety. Okay, anxiety, my imagination, you're here with me. What is it you're trying to tell me? And anxiety could say anything. It could say, relax. You don't know Logan, but he's a friend. Just relax into the moment. Let's see what happens. It could say anything. So you finish that conversation until like a conversation here when you know it's complete, and then you take an action step based on that.
Wonderful. That is great advice. It's a way to get in tune with what's going on in your heart and
Mhm.
other parts of your body, as you mentioned, because your anxiety can manifest itself in different places. The name of the book we're talking about today is Heart-Led Living, The Four Cornerstones to Building a Better Life. It's
Mm-hmm.
written by Dr. Cara Barker. It reveals practical steps to overcome life's toughest challenges. It's a wonderful prescription for good health, happiness, and fulfillment without taking a pill, which is the best prescription as all at all out of all. Doctor,
Absolutely.
before we leave you today, anything you want to share with our guests, our viewers?
Yes. I'm very bad at self-promotion, but before Heart-Led Living came Nightlight, and I strongly suggest this for anyone who's afraid to go into the darkness. It's all true, my stories, client stories, and I think having models of real life things happen. But for our audience today, I just want to say, I want to tell you, no matter what you're going through, I don't care how bad it is, there are possibilities from it for you. There is someone out there who can hear you, who can see you, who can know that there's something in you that is it's needed in this world of chaos. You are needed. What an honor to spend time with you, Logan, and with each of the viewers. I feel very blessed. I'm very grateful. Thank you so much.
I feel blessed to have spoken to you. I'm grateful for your time. Lots of great wisdom and insight. I feel we could chat all day on this topic, but fortunately, you have those two books out there. So if people want to know more, just pick up the books, read them. Your heart will thank you, your mind will thank you, your good health will thank you, and your happiness level, I think, will absolutely thank you as well. To the folks at home, I'm Logan Crawford, thanking you for your time this time. Until next time on Spotlight.